You're listening to the official Minnesota Wild podcast, presented by Acrisure.
Just what's the overall attitude? Guys know what they're up against, but as you talked about yesterday, you're still alive, you still got a chance.
Yeah, it's positive. Guys we have an opportunity to respond to last game, and that's what our mindset is: just control what you can control, and it's the preparation and getting ready for a game.
Any lineup changes, John?
There could be possibly one, which would be injury related, but I won't know until game time.
Now, you mentioned the team's ability to respond all season. What have you learned about what they do in those kind of games that gives you kind of confidence going into this one?
Well, I think it's just when we have a really good team. We have lots of guys that play hard for each other. And it's usually, when we take the lessons out of the game, and there was lots to take last game, and usually we come back totally committed to, how we need to play to a man. And, that's why we've been able to be a really good team this year and have responded in regular season, playoffs, no matter what the circumstances have been. That's been the recipe for us. And we're expecting it to be no different tonight.
With that said, you've played them 4 different times now. All 4 games have been very different identities. Mm-hmm. How do you approach a game 5 with that in mind?
Well, I think as series go on, there's always there's differences that I think each game presents itself, and then it's just understanding, some of the things that they did really well that maybe they didn't do as well, or maybe a little bit differently in last game. Coming into this game, so you're prepared for that. But I think it's the same thing for us. Some things that, we have to get to that we didn't get to the right way. And usually as the series goes on, you just continue to see those tweaks, and every game presents a different challenge.
John, what have you thought of Boldy and his play in this series, and what are some of the details that he can look to do tonight to free him up a little bit and be the impact player that he's clearly been?
Yeah, I think that I think Bol's just had some good moments in the series. I think when he's a beast on the puck, it's a different game. When he's on pucks and he's over pucks and he's controlling it and he's playing with that competitive edge, that's usually when his skill comes out. That's when he has the ability to be a dominant player in the game. And I think that he's had that at times in the series. I think early in the series he had some good looks, didn't get rewarded for it. I think last game, collectively as a group, I don't think anyone was at their best. And that's when he's at his best, that's what he's doing.
John, how much does experience matter in the playoffs this time of year? I know you have some cup winners on your team, of course. They look on game 4. They look like the team that won a cup a few years ago that they knew what the response had to be. Colorado, in game 4. Like, how much experience do you think it matter at this point?
Well, in game 3, we had the competitive edge and they didn't, right? They addressed it, they responded to it, and they played better. It's no different for us.
John, we've talked a lot about special teams in this series. Things have been better, at least statistically, in the last 2 games. What's your level of satisfaction with the way things are, power play, penalty kill?
Just keep getting it better. As we said all series, it has to continue to get better. We continue to work on it. I don't think just because it's been a bit better and, we need it to be great. We need both of them to be great and continue to get better and better as the series goes on.
Anything else? Eric's neck still skating back.
Yes, he skated today.
John, just quickly, the minutes for Hughes and Faber that they play. I'm curious, just when you're behind the bench, how a lot of times, coach will watch minutes here. You see a guy. These guys is it not even a factor? Just, hey, you just keep going. Is there signs or tells from them that they're good to go? Keep going.
Yeah, I think it's a combination. And, sometimes I think when you look at ice time, for example, with those guys, we were down in the game and you have power plays, then you have the 6-on-5s, that jacks up some minutes as well. I think, early in the game, probably after the first, right, it was the 4-on-4 and then I think a power play. So it's just, we communicate with those guys, but I do think that sometimes the ice time is circumstantial based on what's going on in the game. So we monitor that. We talk to them about it, but I do think at times, sometimes it's high because of circumstance as well.
The best place to go for all your Minnesota Wild audio needs is the official Minnesota Wild podcast presented by Acrisure. Everything Minnesota Wild related, including highlights, press conferences, players, coaches, general managers, and more. It's available on the official Minnesota Wild podcast presented by Acrisure. It's all just a click away at wild.com/podcast.